I am so excited. What's up everybody, Andy Shea from Reborn. Today we are going to be talking about the top 8 releases that are commonly most overactive in the general population. I've trained over 500 people and about 400 out of the 500 have these main commonalities of dysfunctional tight tissues, mainly because we're sitting like this all the time, and these are specifically designed to help counteract the majority of typical daily aches and pains that we get. Even stuff like plantar fasciitis, lower back pain, chronic neck and shoulder tightness, lacking breathing, and poor posture, a lot of these will help counteract that. I'm super curious to see how you respond to this stuff. If it helps, shoot a comment and let me know what changed and how do you feel now. That'll be awesome to hear. Now I do apologize, I just finished editing the video and it's over 30 minutes long, so hopefully you have the patience to go through all of it. I literally try to make it as detailed as possible to actually explain to you why we actually need to do these. Most videos are just to do, like do this, do this, do this, do this, and you're done, get fixed. I'm like, no. I wanted to actually explain to you the reasons and the philosophies behind this. So, without further ado, are you ready? You sure? Let's go. Alrighty, so as you can see, there is an array of release tools that you can use. And this is mainly for self-myofascial releases and you releasing your own muscles and fascia. Now this is the tools that I have, and I have a bunch more, but you only need a couple of things to get started with, and it costs not that much. All you need is something like a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, whatever you have at home, and a foam roller. Whether it's this or like a cheaper high density foam roller, doesn't really matter. It's all the same stuff. Then you get these other tools like the Roga, like trigger point balls, like yoga tune-up balls, and the Roga release balls. All of these do slightly different things. I'm going to be showing you how to utilize each one of these tools, and you can choose what you like the best. But in the beginning, this and this will do. So the first muscle we're looking at are the feet. They're so important because it's the first thing that strikes the ground every single time we're walking and moving and stuff like that. So if the foot isn't absorbing shock, the rest of the body is going to have a bumpy ride. So all you need is like a tennis ball, lacrosse ball, yoga tune-up ball, whatever it is. You're going to start from the ball of the foot, as in the front of the foot over here. You're going to place the foot on it and then try to spread the toes as much as you can. Curl the toes down. Lean into the ball, curl up and in. So basically you just want to teach the foot how to actually start moving, because this is actually what happens when we walk. When we walk, the feet splay, they place down, and then they roll off. So if we lose the potential for the foot to move, many of the times you're just rolling the foot up and down like this, you're not teaching the foot how to move. So having assistance with some pressure is giving the foot feedback, which tells signals to the brain that the foot is actually allowed to move. And if we teach it to move in the first place, it's going to have a much better benefit to the rest of the body. So you can actually start playing around with, can you move the toes? Can you do waves? Can you move each toe individually? Like play around with all those positions while your foot's on the ball, and you'll feel all of the muscles in the plantar fascia start communicating a little bit more. So many people have such tender feet. Using a really hard ball like a lacrosse ball or something, probably not the best idea. Go softer, give the foot some love, because your foot might not be used to having a lot of pressure on it, because we usually have a lot of soft shoes and stuff. If you want a better idea of what shoes to get, click on one of these links somewhere around here for my recommendations of the best shoes to get more benefit of the feet. Cool, so basically find that spot on the foot, curl the toes, move it around and all that stuff. Get on the inside of the foot, move, same patterns. Just keep moving the foot, explore, find mid part of the foot, get closer to the heel. You want to get in here. So from here, once you get closer to the heel by the plantar fascia attachment, you're going to put the ball of the foot down and the heel on, and then find that spot, add a little bit of weight if comfortable, and then just gently like lean up and down, and then roll around if you need to, just a tiny little bit to tell the foot to be able to communicate a little bit better. So this is really cool stuff about massaging the feet, is to build that connection. Once that feels better, obviously do the other side if you need to, and then let's move on to the next one. So muscle number 2 would be the calves. So the calves are so important. They are the shock absorbers of the lower body, and if the calves are so tight, it's like having stiff and rusted up shock absorbers for your car. The rest of the car is going to have a very bumpy ride and trigger too much vibration to the upper part of the body. So what we want to do is with the calves, take the roller, you're going to put the calves directly on it, place the other leg on top, and the most biggest thing what people do is literally just like lift their butt up and roll up and down like this. Try not to do that. The biggest thing you want to do is teach the fascia how to glide, as in put the foot directly on top of the other, and then you're going to move the foot up and down, side to side, draw circles, let the muscles experience what it is to move, because that's the whole idea. Because most of the times when we just roll up and down, you're basically just putting pressure and you're pumping fluid around. Let me explain muscles real quick. Muscles fall into pockets of fascia. So fascia is the stuff that encases the muscles. Like when you peel open chicken skin and you see that meshy, goopy, slimy, white stuff, that's a fascial layer. So the idea is that muscles are encased in fascia. So this is a muscle, this is a muscle. When they're on top of each other and you're moving, they're supposed to glide over each other. Like if you look at my forearm, if I'm squeezing my forearm over here and I'm twisting it, you can literally see muscles move over each other. That's what creates movement. They glide and rotate smoothly. So if we're starting to lack that rotation because we forget to move these muscles, what happens is that instead of moving the muscles and gliding individually, it's pulling the whole joint. So instead of only moving from my wrist, it's moving my elbow, which pulls into the shoulder, which pulls into the rest of the body. So what we want is to be able to let each muscle move freely over another. Let's get back to the calves. We have calf muscles over here and another muscle over here. So we have the two gastroc, the soleus, all of the little muscles intertwined in between. If we put pressure directly on top of it and move it, it's basically not doing anything because you're just putting pressure on all the muscle layers. Whereas if you push down on it and then you tell it to glide, then the muscles underneath start grinding, moving across the ones on top, and then it starts adding lubrication and getting movement into the fascia in between it, getting the muscles to start flowing. So essentially, we're just telling the brain, hey, ooh, that spot is actually pretty tight. But if you move it, it's like, oh, it's tight, but I can still move. Why do I actually need to be tight? There's no reason to. So the brain lets it go a lot faster than blindly rubbing up and down. So pin it, move the foot a few times until you feel that tension dissipate slightly, then move up to the next spot of the calf. Roll up and down, go in and out, experience all those movements and stuff. So try not to think that you have to move the foot so much that your shins start burning. Just move it a little bit and then go from there. So try not to put your body into too much pain as well. You want to try and keep it around 5 to 7 out of 10 tension. If it's more than that and you're holding your breath, you're like, and you can't let the muscles go, the body's going to have a much harder time to actually relax. So idea is to try and find the most comfortable position and then just move the foot up and down. Get all different parts of the calves, so like inside of the calves, outside of the calves, all of that stuff as well. So this is the main thing that you want to do on both sides, and you might start realizing that one side is tighter than the other. If this is already really painful, don't upgrade to like a harder foam roller or a sharper pointy foam roller. You get the rumble rollers and all of that type of stuff. I highly don't recommend that if this is already very sensitive. But other versions are like, I really like the Rolga. See these little contours over here? You can actually put the belly of the muscle between the contours, and so it's kind of like pushing the two muscles apart, and then when you move it, you can actually feel more of the tissues. Then you can get onto the inside of the calves a little bit by turning that foot in here and then moving the leg up and down. So this is called the Rolga rollers. Incredible technology. It's very simple. When we get to the upper body, this would be a really good thing to use as well. So many benefits of this. I might actually just create a separate video utilizing this thing. Let me know if that's something that interests you in the comments below. Try not to get obsessed that you have to spend an hour on it. I typically recommend 1 to 2 minutes per tissue, the most, and then carry on. If you do it consistently every day, you'll feel that tension subsides significantly within the first couple of weeks. Muscle number 3, the medial calves, as in the flexor digitorum longus and the flexor hallucis longus, is basically the muscles on the inside of the calves over here. Now, this is a very, very simple one to get into, but it is so overlooked by almost every single person that I've come into contact with. And most of the times we just think of the back of the calves, but inside is just as important, because these muscles over here actually connect straight down to the plantar fascia. And so many times we get plantar fasciitis, we get knee pain, we get hip issues and all of that stuff because this muscle is so tight. So if you release the foot already and you release the calves and you're still feeling like knee pain or plantar fasciitis and all of that type of stuff, this might be the other thing that's actually causing the foot and the knee and the hip to start aching. So use a lacrosse ball. You're gonna find that spot on the inside of the bone of your shin, and then all you're gonna do is palpate until you feel like, ooh, that's actually a tender spot over there. Take the ball, push it down with the opposite hand, and then lean into the spot, and then add a little bit of a twist if you want to. So notice I'm twisting towards the knee, so clockwise, and then you're gonna move the foot up and down. Notice all the movements, we're always pinning the muscle and then moving the limb so that the tissues actually start gliding over each other. It's not just rubbing up and down. That's what we always typically like to do. We just like roll up and down. Remember, it doesn't really change the tissues. It's so interesting that I say this every single time I teach someone. We always go back to the default setting of just trying to rub up and down. I don't know, it's something about the human brain that makes us do that. Or it's because we call it rolling out. I don't know. Pin it and move it, okay? So pin that spot, move the foot up and down. So you can either choose to move the toes up and down or pin the toes and then move the heel up and down. Another easier way, if you're not on the ground, you can put it on like a high chair or a big box or something like that. You can let your foot hang over it so that you can actually move the foot a little bit more freely. So you want to go from the bottom of the leg, just inside of that ankle bone, all the way to close to that knee. So wherever spots you feel like, oh, that is actually tender, that is tight, that is, ooh, that's a tight muscle. Work on those a little bit. And then if you feel like, nope, nothing much going on over there, skip that part, go to the next spot. Releasing tight overactive tissues is when you feel it, you'll absolutely know. Same rules, 30 seconds to a couple of minutes on each spot, move until the tension drops by 1 point on the whole line, do both sides, and let's move on to the next one. Number 4, the adductors, which is the stuff on the inside of the I am so pale. Oh my God. Anyway, the adductors are the muscles on the inside of the leg over here. So it basically connects from the groin all the way down to that point of that knee. So these are all adductors. There's 5 of them. We're just gonna do a general release on all of those muscles. So you're gonna take the foam roller, pin it down, take the leg, and you're gonna put it at 90 degrees cross of the thigh. And then from here, go into a plank position. A lot of times people like sag into their lower back so their hip is dropping to the ground and they feel the pinch in their lower back. Elevate the body just a little bit, and you can use your hind leg to support you a little bit more. I don't know if you can see from this angle. Place the leg over here, 90-degree bend, and then from here, all you're gonna do is elevate the body slightly so that your hip, your lower back doesn't get pinched, and then all you're gonna do is pin it and move the foot, move the leg up and down, and you'll feel that tissue start gliding in over here. It's probably not gonna be the most pleasant. This usually sucks really, really bad because most of the times we have a lot of tension on the inside of the leg, which is causing the knees to buckle in, which is causing the ankles to buckle in, which is causing the whole hip to have a bunch of issues as well. So most of the times clearing these muscles will help with lower back pain, with groin pain, with not being able to fire up your core again, because a lot of times when these muscles are tight, it actually shuts down the internal core muscles to start working. So once we release it, the body has access to the core muscles to start firing a little bit better, and then all good things happen when your core can work. So make sure, pin it, move the leg up and down a few times until that tension dissipates. Try to breathe into that position. If you're here and it's really bad and you're like, oh, super tight, reduce a little bit of tension by putting more weight on the opposite side of the body, and then breathe. Exhale that tension out. basically the only part that you want to feel tension is here. You don't want to tighten up your shoulders or your back or your core or hold your breath while you're trying to release a muscle, because you're just adding more stress onto the body instead of letting stress go. That's what releases are actually there for, right? So keep moving until you get to the inside of the leg and then get all the way to the crotch. If there's nothing tight in there, then don't roll it, just move on to the next spot. If you feel more tension, work on that a little bit more. All right, so basically get all the muscles from here to here. Those are the adductors. Stand up, see how that feels. Muscle number 5, the sternocostal ligaments, which is essentially where the rib cage attaches into that sternum. So this muscle's right in here. Let me take off this jacket. So essentially, it's where the rib cage connects into the sternum. So you don't want to be directly in the middle of the sternum. You want to be slightly to the side. So probably like sternum, 1 inch to the side. You'll feel where the rib cage actually connects into the sternum. Like push the fingers pretty hard into it and you'd be like, oh, there's actually a lot of gunk in the middle of the, where it connects into the sternum. So all of these tight muscles and ligaments usually cause, 1, lacking thoracic expansion, as in breathing into your chest. And so many times we get pain in the mid-back area because the stuff in the front is actually so tight that because we're compressed over here, this isn't able to actually expand. So the muscles in the mid-back is actually trying to activate the whole time by trying to get us upright, but this is pulling us forward, winning that tug of war. So the back muscles are actually just getting tired from fighting this the whole time. So once we release this, and we'll release the pec minor, which is another muscle we're gonna get into, then the whole chest can open, and then having a more neutral posture is gonna be much easier. If you're getting a lot of mid-back pain, neck pain, you can't breathe, or you just have terrible posture like this, and it's hard for you to open up, this might be one of the first muscles that I'd highly recommend to look into. Now for some people, it's actually gonna be very sensitive, so something like a pool noodle or rolling up a towel, something softer, might be a good way to start. Then upgrading to like a foam roller or something like that will work very well as well. So finding that muscle is pretty easy. All you're gonna do is take the foam roller, place it at the middle of the sternum, and then rotate it slightly to the left, like 1/2 inch to 1 inch to one side of the sternum. You're gonna lie down, relax the hip down, head down into this position, and then you'll probably feel some pressure into that area already. And all you're gonna do is breathe into the back, exhale, and then try and melt into the foam roller. So if this is too hard, or if you're a female and you have a lot of tissues around that area, probably something like this will help a little bit, or you gotta move stuff around over there. So from here, just breathe into the back. Think that you're breathing into the foam roller and let your back expand up, out, and nice and wide. And as you relax, just sink in and let your body melt into the ground. You can angle it however you want, just to get a little bit more coverage. And then 10, 15 breaths, or 5 or 10, whatever feels good. Then you're gonna slowly move on to the other side. So you never wanna be directly on the middle of the sternum. You wanna be slightly to the side where the ligaments and the ribcage start connecting. Same thing, 5 to 10 breaths. And then once you feel it easier to breathe and it's starting to relax, then put your elbows down. Make sure you get up super slowly. Our chest isn't usually used to being compressed, so if you get up too fast, it feels like someone just punched you in the chest and you're like, so get up very, very slowly, and then let your chest slowly start expanding, and then see when you get up, how does that feel? Do you feel looser? Do you feel lighter? Is it easier to breathe? If yes, fantastic, keep doing it. The only thing I won't recommend is if you're very, very hypermobile, as in your joints and your ligaments are like very, very loose and all over the place. This might be super uncomfortable and it might feel a little bit worse after you do it. So anything that you do that makes it feel worse, stop doing it. Just because it's good exercise for someone doesn't mean it might be good for you. So play around to see how you feel afterwards. I recommend doing a couple of reps first and then see like, ooh, did that feel better? If yes, do more. If it didn't, stop doing it immediately. Doing more will probably not make it better. Hopefully, now that you can breathe better, Let's move on to the next one. Muscle number 6. Now that the sternocostal ligaments are open, the chest has more expansion to breathe, then we can get into the pecs and everything. So a lot of times people say, oh, if you're tight over here, you gotta stretch out your chest and everything like that. If the middle doesn't let you open, stretching out the chest, it might feel good temporarily, but then you'll recoil a lot faster. So open the middle first, then open the chest, and you'll probably find that it's easier for you to stay a little bit more open. We can actually start from the subclavius, which is the muscle underneath the collarbone, starting from close to your sternum. If you go a little bit like down and then push onto those muscles, whoo, you'll feel some tender stuff all the way. So it's almost like this line from here all the way until you get into that dip of that shoulder. That's where the pec minor attaches into the body. So start from here, place the ball. All you need is like a pillar or a wall or something like that that you can lean into. That's a little bit easier. Lean into the pillar and then just move the arm up and down. I'm gonna try on the opposite side. So take the ball, place it here, lean into it, and then just move the arm up and down. You can start feeling those tissues start gliding. You can move it forward. If you have a pillar, then you're moving it forward and back. If you're by a wall, then obviously just go side to side. You can bring your elbow behind you and kind of just move the arm like this, almost like flapping a chicken wing type of thing, and then move on to the next spot and keep going until you get into the mid part of that area. So you start from here, roll, move, 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 keep going until you get into this area and go from there. It's one of those, when you feel it, you'll absolutely know if you're on the right spot or not. Afterwards, just see, oh, do the shoulders feel a little bit looser? Do you feel more open? If yes, gold. Let's move on to the next one. All right, muscle number 7. This is the trap. So this is the most commonly overactive muscle where we get neck pain, shoulder issues. Like if it's hard, if we're always shrugging up and we're getting shoulder impingements and stuff, so many times it's just because the trap is so overactive that it's pulling us up that the lats can't fire to keep the shoulders down. So the idea is to be able to open this up so the lats have access to be able to move a little bit better. So this is the trap. If you just cup your hand behind you, this whole piece of muscle over here is the trap. So all you're gonna do is take the ball. I typically like to use the opposite hand to put it on the opposite trap so you have a little bit of space. Then you're gonna roll down onto the ground. Then you're gonna find that spot over there, pin it with the ball, and then from here, move the arm up and down, and then draw little circles and then see like, oh, okay, when you move it in this angle, it hurts. When you move it here, oh, there it is, or up and down, whatever range that you feel that the tissue is actually moving a little bit. If it's hard for you to find it, you can use the hand to like push down slightly or lift the butt up or push your feet away from your body, like pushing down that way, and you're pushing into the ground, and then the ball rolls and anchors into that trap a little bit as you're moving the arm up and down. Make sure you breathe. Some people is so tight over here. If this is super, super, super tight, maybe a lacrosse ball is not the best bet. Using a yoga tune-up ball, these are a little bit more spongy, or even a tennis ball, or a grippy, something grippy that, or maybe, maybe a yoga tune-up ball might be a better idea. That's a little bit softer and it's tacky so it doesn't slide around, and go from there. So move that around, breathe into it until it starts dissipating, and then move on to the next muscle. Number 8 is the T-spine, thoracic spine, as in the upper part of your back. This section over here from mid to upper body, this is the part of the body that should actually be bending. So many times when we're sitting in this position, we literally lose that curvature in the upper back, and it's hard for us to actually extend. So we end up using the lower back to lift up the body. If you're constantly using the lower back to sit up straight, then these muscles starting to get fatigued, and these muscles stay weak because they literally don't remember how to actually keep the body upright, simply because the spine forgot how to actually bend backwards. So working on the T-spine is really, really important to get more openness. So if we already released the front, we're released over here, and we're not shrugged up, then we have a better opportunity to actually start folding backwards in order to get a nicer, taller spine. That's what we're looking for. So highly recommend opening the front first before opening the back, because if you open the back and this is still tight, the whole body is going to go and pull you straight back into this position, right? So working on the upper back, Very simple. You're gonna put this on here, lie mid part of the back only. Most of the times we get lower back pain because the upper back is not bending the right way, so we end up using the lower back too much. If you constantly roll out the lower back, you're actually potentially weakening it, and you're actually creating more instability, which the back is just going to tighten up even more in order to try and protect itself. So if you've been rolling out your lower back a long time and it's still hurting, probably not the right place to constantly be rolling out, right? So you're going to be on the mid part of the back. From here, interlock your fingers behind your head so you can actually rest the head and the arms, and then just roll up and down just a few times to get some motility over there, to get some blood flow in. And then once that's a little bit more open, get back to the mid part of the back. You'll feel where the tightest spot usually is. For me, it's right around here. The biggest important thing that you want to do is trying to keep the core relatively engaged, and then you're going to push your head back like you're bending backwards. And notice I'm only trying to bend with my upper body. This is where it gets a little bit tricky for a lot of people, is that we don't understand what core engagement is. So when we're bending backwards, we're using the lower back, as in, notice this is where my upper back stops bending. If I use my lower back, my head can touch the ground, right? So that's the whole idea. So many times we bend from the lower back instead of only bending from the upper back. That's what we're looking for, to extend with the upper body. It's not about how far you can go over, it's about how much you can move the upper body. So notice I'm going from the middle part, bending a few times, and then moving up by 1 or 2 vertebrae to teach each joint that it's allowed to bend backwards. And you can go back and do that a few times. So it's very important to breathe while you're in this position. So take a deep breath in, exhale, and just sink backwards. Breathe in, exhale, sink backwards. If you need to hang here and just relax into this position for a little bit, take your time, hang there. You can even just like wiggle your upper body a little bit just to teach the spine that it's allowed to bend, and then come back, do a few breaths. So try not to let the lower body go. Try to keep the core slightly engaged as you're doing that. If you can't get it perfect, no worries, you're still moving the upper back quite a lot, but be aware of what's actually happening over there. That's really, really important. And then come up and then see how your entire body feels after you've done all of these 8 releases. Hey, what's up? Are you still here? Still awake? How do you feel? Better, worse, same, different? I really hope it's better, because honestly, I have no idea by watching a video versus actually teaching people this in person. Hopefully you got some good takeaways out of that. Please shoot me a comment below if things felt different and it felt better, worse, or same. I'd love to actually just get feedback. Now, if it is better, that's 100% keep doing those. If it's worse, definitely don't recommend doing those, because it just means that your body is not responding to that. So in my next video, I'm going to be teaching you the biofeedback technique to actually assess if a specific movement or release or exercise is actually recommended for you particularly, or is it just a good exercise that everybody should do but it doesn't work for you. So those are the questions that I've always strived to answer, because many of the times we do a workout, we do a stretch, we do some of these things, and you're like, oh, that actually made it feel worse. Why? Most of the times it's just a brain and the body is not connected to that specific movement, so it doesn't like it. Hence, it threatens you to not want to do more, which is why it makes things feel worse. So in my next video, I'm going to be teaching you the biofeedback technique of how to assess which releases, which resets, which activations, which any of these movements will be good for you. So if you're stuck around this far, it means that you kind of like this video. Please hit that red little box with the subscribe thing and that bell thing right next to it so you can get notified exactly when my next video comes out. It's going to be shorter than this, hopefully. I'm always striving to make better content. So whatever feedback you have, please leave me a comment and message below so that I can keep working on that. Andy Shea from Reborn. See you in the next video. Peace!